All right, folks. Well, I have 1 o'clock Eastern on my clock anyway, so welcome. Hopefully you're all having a good week so far. Happy Wednesday. It is amazing to see we're already in October. No question about that. Okay, so as we get started today, thought we would take a look at the S&P here. Been very interesting, right? So my divergence indicator, a lot of times when you get the first trigger, especially in a massive trend, okay, that's just giving you an idea that, hey, we're getting very, very close to a bottom. Okay, and then we got a second divergence right here, right at the low. And that certainly has been a nice little scalp if you took something like that. But, bigger picture, you got a flat bottom, green Fibonacci. So even though we're down today, although it's been coming back from what it was originally down, right? That's pretty solid. My only concern, big picture, is I'd like to see the weekly turn around to green. Okay, then I'll be all out to the long side. So I'm kind of cautious right now. If I'm doing any long plays, it's kind of one at a time and, good risk reward type opportunities, because we don't really know at this point if this is just a retracement. Interesting enough as well. We'll see if it breaks through the top of my trend indicator here and then keeps going. But yesterday was such a big day to the upside. I expected today be more of a consolidation day, just based off of past price, but it certainly looks like it wants to rally going into the close here today. Okay, so why is that important? Well, let me at least attempt to bring up here. Bear with me. I've had some computer issues here, but I think I can find it. I think it is right here. There it is. Okay. So when we look at the sentiment, again, it's very important to understand not only the psychology of retailer traders, but also what are they actually positioning themselves, okay? And so back here, retailers were extremely long, okay? This was, late, right around, you can see right here with the legend, right around October, start of October. Okay, they had been more long back in June, mid-June and mid-May. And when they were extreme long, what happened to price? Right, price was going down as they were adding to their longs. Why is that? Because that's how professionals make money, right? Off of those retailer traders. So as this kept coming up, price kept coming down. Now, certainly looks like at this point, as retailers are starting to get out of the longs because they've been wiped out, now what's price doing? It's going up, right? You may say that's not fair. And everybody knows trading is not fair. So based off of this, especially if we get what I call the crossover here, then we're going to continue higher. Okay, at this point though, there's no surprise we've had a couple-day rally based off of retailers finally getting out of their longs. They just kept losing money. Finally, they're starting to panic and they have to get out or reverse positions. Okay, that's how it works. Look back here again when they were net short. Okay, as they were adding to their shorts, what was price doing? Going higher. Okay, it's unbelievable, but it's something I've been following for over 10 years now. And the cool thing about tops and bottoms is that the sentiment can really help we're getting close, right? And so like back here, this was a good one, this was a good one, but then you can go look at your indicators once you're at that point for your actual entries. Remember, this is not a timing indicator per se, right? That's what your charts are for, okay? Any questions on the sentiment there? Let me know. Okay. So yeah, so this run could be continued if we continue to, if they now start continuing adding to their short positions. Okay. I know it just sounds like it's not a fair game there, right? Okay. All right, so that's the S&P. Now we can look at the Qs, we can look at the diamonds. They're all going to look the same right now. So basically what we're waiting for as a more conservative approach, the weekly to turn around green, and then we've got all the room to the upside, right? All this room. We just have to wait. And you know, if you're going in smaller time frames, you can do that. We had nice divergence there on the Q as well, saying, hey, we're probably pretty darn close to that bottom. The Dow's only down 82 now. So again, you can see that even though it was down more earlier, right, there's a lot of strength coming into that market right now the last couple of days. And you usually won't hit a recent low like that, all of these wicks. Then you get the Kakanachi turning around with the seasonal. It certainly looks like at this point we're back in the game from the long side. Okay, but it's still a little early, a few days early. And when I say that, I mean for you conservative traders, right? Now, if you go in long, let's pick a stock for now. Let's say you really want to go long, or you've gone long in Apple. Okay, the rules should be simple. One, you should know going into it there's risk because the weekly is still flat top. Okay, plus you have earnings coming up. But if you said, okay, we got a green Hakanachi, I'm going long. The rules are simple, right? You stay in it now until you get a red dot. So whether it's a win or a loss, that's your rules. Okay. That way, if it continues higher now, and you get 10 or 15 green dots in a row, then you're a happy camper, right? But if it turns right back around, you get a red dot in a couple of days, right? Small loss. Because we really want to focus on, folks, is small losses and big wins. Okay, don't think of a loss as a failure. Think of that's part of doing the business. If you look at those retailer traders that, again, just to put it in perspective, during this down move, they kept adding to their longs. You might say, well, why is that, Dr. Keith? Why is that? And that's because they love to pick tops and bottoms. Okay, it's a fascination. It's like a gambling thing that it can't go lower than this. It can't go lower than this. Oh, this is definitely the bottom. Holy cow, this is by far the bottom. And at some point, they're going to be right. Problem is they don't have any money at that point. Okay. Okay. So that's why we use sentiment when it goes in the direction of the seasonality, what we're looking for. Then we look for our triggers. But even here, this is more aggressive trade for the reasons I just said. Now let's take a look at gold. So gold's made a nice move up, right? And this actually excites me because a couple things. One, I like gold short until around December. Okay, right around that time frame. So we've been in a nice downtrend, and now we have this retracement, and it could continue, absolutely. But what I'm waiting for, I'm not looking for longs yet. Here's what I want to happen, right? I want, maybe this is the top here at 1740, roll back over, give me a Laguerre trigger, give me a red Hakanachi candle, and then I'll be looking to test these lows again. Okay, why? Seasonality to the downside, and the overall trend as well matches that. But if this continues to stay green, then I just miss out. That's fine, right? But there's rules, right? And that's the key. That's why I'm holding these educational sessions, is just to show you the mentality, because so many traders, including myself when I first started, you don't want to be wrong. So if you are, you hold on to it too long and you blow yourself out, and then you got to save and do it all over again. So yeah, everybody would have loved to make money here, right? You could have said, well, we got a Laguerre trigger, green Hakanachi. Why didn't I take this? and I was going against a major trend, and I love it to the short side. So if I would have, which I didn't, but if I would have taken it long, I would have went in at half of my normal position for one, because there's more risk. And if it would have turned right back around, we got to, let's say right here, you get a red dot, I would have exited. Okay, so I could have, I could have went for a small loss, but in this case, I didn't, just because, one, I didn't think it was going to make that much of a retracement. But two, I'm more excited about the short side coming up. Okay. All right, bonds. So, does it get any better than this? Right. So, right, downside movement, solid red weekly. We've had how many flat top weekly candles? Those of you that are trying to make money on the long side of bonds have just been getting destroyed. And look at this beautiful downtrend. So obviously I had no interest at all in taking this, but what I love about this is, right, it comes up. I would have liked to see it retrace a little bit more, like finally get it to the top of the trend indicator, which it hasn't happened forever, right? But another short opportunity on bonds is definitely coming in our play. I don't like to go in right at lows. That's why I'm looking for more of a retracement, because my exit point was right here on this green dot, right? So let's review. And again, if you're not trading futures, obviously you could trade like the TLT, right? But first trigger was right here. Okay, that ended up being a small loss. Then when it goes back to green here, yellow, then red again, that's the new re-entry. And you can see you stayed in that for, I don't know, almost 5 weeks or so. Okay, and then you got out on this green dot. So that would have been considered a big win. Okay? You don't know going into it, but you look for small losses. You'll get some of those. You'll get some small wins too, but then that's what grows accounts, those big wins. Instruments will trend. And remember, we're going in the direction of the seasonal. So by definition, what does that mean? Going in the direction of what typically the institutions are doing, right? Don't forget about what seasonality is, other than a cool name. Okay. All right, so the VIX has been fascinating to me. We knew, again, just from looking at the VIX, it just didn't want to break above that 32 level, right? So as the VIX is going up, typically the markets are going down. And then now volatility is starting to come down a little bit. So even though it's up a little bit from yesterday, it still have a flat top, Heikin-Achi, Laguerre trigger short. So it certainly looks like markets want to go higher and the VIX wants to go lower. Okay. Anytime it spikes, you can go back in time as far as you want. Anytime it spikes, it comes down fairly quickly. Okay, think of it as being in a house, standing around the corner and then spooking your mom or dad, right? I know that's mean. Spooking them, right? What happens to them? They get startled for just a short period of time and then they get mad, right? Well, the VIX is kind of like that. It'll start going up, the fear factor, right? But then it'll come back down and test pretty quickly either that 24 level and then down to that 21 level. Okay, we'll get back there at some point in time. Okay, sometimes it's quicker than others. Typically, the bigger the spike and the quicker the spike, the quicker it falls. This has been a relatively, pretty slow move up. A lot of wicks right here, about a week's worth of 31 in wicks. Now it certainly looks like it wants to roll right back over. And before you know it, it'll be back down to the mean down here, this average somewhere around here. If it happens to spike again, that would be the much better opportunity short, because the quicker it spikes, like we get a really big spike, then that's probably almost the end of that major volatility. Okay. And again, go look at the chart on the VIX. You'll see what I mean. You don't trade futures VIX, many don't. If you're trading VIX, you can only do options on the VIX. Okay, there's also the UVXY as well. It's an ETF. There's different options out there. Okay. All right, so now let's take a look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, again, no seasonality yet of Bitcoin, but it's basically just moving with the markets, isn't it? So if the markets do take off, I expect Bitcoin to take off, probably hit that 25,000 level pretty quickly. You know, it can be a risk reward trade for you, right? All right, crude oil. So interesting with crude. You know, we have, again, usually seasonality to the downside, but the weekly now has come up. And, you know, it's done that before during this massive downtrend, right? So what'll be interesting now is to get ready to roll right back over, right back over. If it does, I'll certainly look to take a short play on crude. Again, that could be like the USO, because we have seasonality to the downside until roughly November, okay? So this has been fairly predictable based off of that. You know, these moves back to the upside, and maybe 90 will be the place again where it then turns right back over. That'd be great because then it would give you room to these lows at 76. Okay. That's my goal. I'm not looking to continue a long play on crude here. I'm looking more to the short side at this point. Okay, the dollar, right? The trend has been our friend forever. As you can see now, during the market move up, the dollar has come down. What I'm looking for though is right here. See this Laguerre line, let this come back out. As long as the weekly stays green, okay, I'll look for a nice upward retest of that, right? It came down here, it came down here. The trend is your friend. So until it proves you wrong, there's no reason not to keep doing it. We also have seasonality to the upside. So, you know, today's the day it's gone higher. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to keep playing that, following that seasonal pattern, playing those long plays on the dollar. Because either way, if I'm wrong, right, hopefully it'd be a small loss, right? If I go in tomorrow, let's say you get a green, and then 2 days later it turns right back around, right? Take that loss. But if you're right, you'll probably take it up to those highs. Okay. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay, so let's talk about some of your favorites. AMD. You can see AMD typically doesn't go higher until late October, November. So that's why when, you know, the market turns around, this is how seasonality helps me. It doesn't mean AMD won't go higher, but I would rather pick a stock that typically is already in that trend, right? You know, one of my trade of the months was Southern, right? We're just waiting on a trigger. We're just waiting on a trigger. So, you know, this is gonna be a beautiful trade coming up. Look at these wicks here. And earnings is part of the seasonal coming up. So when I get a trigger here, yeah, I'll be looking to go long Southern. As long as the weekly is, if it's not green, it better be very close, meaning like an indecision candle like these. I'm never going against something that's got that flat bottom. That's disaster. Okay. But Southern is one that I really like once we get triggers. Okay, that's gonna be a great opportunity. From a historical perspective, it's a great opportunity. Okay. Jason, it can be. I mean, a lot of times it is. You know, the problem with looking at markets and always looking at inverses, you know, the markets are down, the dollar's up, and so forth. Just like a lot of people will say, when the market goes down, gold goes up. Okay, because that's their safety haven. But obviously, if you look at GLD, right? it's been down as the market's been going down, and then it kind of predicted the move back up. So I'm not huge into correlations because each stock ETF futures or Forex that I trade has its own rules. Okay, but yes, generally speaking, when the dollar is up, the markets are down. Yep. Just like gold in December, usually the markets can go higher in December, and so does gold. Okay, so the inverse relationship is not always there. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Good question. Okay, Amazon. So we do have some earnings coming up, right? We're getting to that season again. But what I like about some of these opportunities coming up, right? Obviously, right here, 113 or so, right? Institutions came in and they said, okay, that's good. And, they're going to start buying this up. So this is an opportunity where if you took it, it's aggressive. But again, if you're aggressive, that's not always a negative thing. This week's kind of indecisive so far, right? Just as long as you have good exit rules if you're wrong, right? So again, I did not enter this, but if I did, as soon as I got a red dot, win or loss, I'm out of it, okay? Because there's three things I want. I either want a small loss, I either want a small win, or I want one of those big wins, right? That could happen. We don't know at this point. What I don't want is a big loss, okay? And we can go over a lot of these. They all look the same. Like Domino's is one of my favorite trades coming up as well. I actually like to be in it during earnings, even though there's some risk there, folks. And no, I can't stand the pizza, but I like the stock. These discounts are going to be amazing opportunities as the market turns around. So keep an eye on a lot of your favorite stocks. CRM is another one. The recent lows, now here it goes back to the upside. So that's one thing I just wanted to show you today as you're looking is, look for some of your favorite seasonal moves. Some of mine from my data mining package, right? SBNY. Nice seasonal. Here's what this has done over the last 17 years. If you enter on 1021, and I'm not telling you to do this, okay? Nothing's guaranteed and you can lose money, okay? And you all know that, but I'm just showing you the statistic. You entered on 1021 and you just exited on these dates, okay? And you exited on 1129. It's made money 17 out of 17 years, okay? As part of my data mining package. Okay? So again, it doesn't mean it's guaranteed. So what I like to do is when we get closer to those dates, if you were doing an option play, you could say, well, that's close enough there. I'm going to go in based off of the statistics, right? You could. Or if you're going in off the dates, I'm not going in on a day that is like this, no matter what the data says, right? I mean, I'm not going to do something stupid. But what it's telling me is during those windows of time, folks, institutions buy, and they have been, okay, basically since the stock's been around 17 years in a row. Okay, so for whatever reason, okay, they're buying at that time of year. Okay. Look at Emerson. Right, this is a phenomenal opportunity historically. Okay, so EMR. It's been around 39 years. Okay. 38 years out of 39. It's gone higher between 1025 and 1229. Okay. So basically a 2-month time frame, average about 9% higher, okay, just as an average. But think about that. 30 out of 39 years during this window, a stock's gone higher. Okay, what is that? That's seasonality. Okay, that's the power of it. So if you're a short player, I would stay away from EMR as a short play, right? Incredible data. All right, let's see, there's some questions here. Yeah, Al, how you doing? MLCL, let's take a look. Okay, so season to the upside, so we got that, right? Now, obviously, it's already taken off initially here. So if you're looking to, obviously, if you took the trade right here where it went from a red, yellow, and a green, right, that was your entry. Okay. This point, you would have taken partial profit, break even stop. So now you can let it run until you get a red dot. If you didn't enter, what I would wait for is one of two things, either the Laguerre to come all the way back down and give you that entry in the near future, or just like you did here, the next red dot that then goes back to yellow, then green, that could be your new entry. Okay, so very easy, specific rules at that point. But whatever is going on with Melco Resorts, certainly been bullish, and typically it is this time of year. Yep. Sure, let's take a look at INTC. Yeah, Jason, for me, most of, I'm not getting too aggressively long yet. I've got a couple out there, but yeah, I like to see, now there's some stocks out there that have already had weekly green. I can run that in my scans and find the weekly green and then look for the triggers based off of that. But yeah, you're exactly right. So INTC again, so remember though, this is important on this one. So let's spend a couple minutes on INTC Intel, okay? Remember, no matter what statistics say and how great a chart looks, when you're in a massive downtrend like this, thinking that this is a combo long and everything, okay? But thinking that this is going to be a good play, there's a lot of risk here, okay? So if I was forced to take a long early like this, I go in a quarter of my position, same rules that you've learned from me. Okay? Problem is, I mean, again, just look at the weekly chart, flat tops forever. So you want to wait. Now they are starting to get smaller, right? These aren't quite as ridiculous, and we've had some divergence. So Intel may be getting very close to a bottom, but I would wait for that green candle on the weekly, then look for your entries. Okay, and in this case, I would like to see my trend indicator turn green as well because it's been such a dominant downtrend. Remember, I know it's easier said than done. You don't have to worry about getting in super close to the bottoms, okay, or the tops, because you got this entire area to make money. So if you ended up getting in, let's say it was 30 bucks, right? And then you got out at 36 and you made $6 on this move. Okay, that's pretty darn good. That's a lot better than jumping the gun and then just keep losing like here. That's what a lot of the retailers will do. They'll just keep jumping in saying it can't go any lower. Okay. So just if you get in aggressively, my main advice would be this. If it turns around and it goes against you based on the rules I'm showing you and teaching you, just get out. Even if it turns around, that's fine. You have to have rules. Okay. Sure, PCG, let's take a look. So PCG has more of a downward seasonality, and obviously PG&E has been very positive. So it's been really more positive than what typically it is this time of year. So if you want to take a trade on that based off of that, you can, but I wouldn't go in at highs. I'd wait for that, trend is your friend thing, obviously, let it retrace. And then when you get a new trigger, then you could enter. Okay, going in at highs, that's usually not a very good thing. Okay? But, in all honesty, what I usually look for, because you can pick and be choosy, even though it's been pretty darn strong, I'd rather pick a stock that has seasonality down or up. I'm sorry, not down. Okay. Personal. One of my other favorites, Broadcom, ABGO. And just waiting, right? It looks nice, doesn't it? We got great seasonality on Broadcom. you know, and it's more expensive, but you could always do a debit spread if you wanted. Okay, so keep an eye on AVGO. One of my favorites. Get up to those highs. So when you have a divergence and a low like that, a new recent low, that's pretty good bet you're at the bottom. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, let's take a look at PALL. All right, let me grab something real quick. I had a question from someone. Let me just grab something real quick. Bear with me. A couple of you asked this, so I want to get it out before I forget. All right, so PAL, while I'm waiting on my website to come up. So good seasonality upside. We kind of have the 10-year down, the 5-year more, you see how the 5 years more flat, but really in October, it starts heading higher more. PAL, you know, just look at the price action. It's kind of hard, but what I'd be waiting for is a pullback. And then I would be looking for right around November, go long, okay? I prefer gold over PAL. So like GLD, I think has a better seasonal move personally coming up, you know, as we get closer to that December move, okay? Okay, so what else do we got? And I'll get that up there for you, that data mining. It looks like the website's down right now. Okay. And if you have questions as well, you can always email me, Dr. Keith at seasonaltraderpro.com. Let's see if I typed that right. Did I just put it in the chat as well? Okay. So PAL, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I'd be looking for a long play last couple months. KDP. Okay, so it's up and running on here. So here I'll put the data mining package in there for you. Okay. Yeah, and the way I do that right now is if you buy the bulls, I give you the bears for free. Yes, Bill, this is being recorded, and then I'll send it out. It'll also be posted on my YouTube channel. Yep. So KDP, you can see it's kind of a odd seasonal, right? Let's take a look at this. It peaks right around the end of October, and then it has a nice move down. Okay, so here's how I like to do that. I'm going to ignore the long trigger because of that. Okay, even though you could probably make some money on that. But when we get a sell trigger towards Halloween, okay, whenever that happens and we get a sell trigger, I like that as a more, better trade. Does that make sense? Because, also we've been kind of ranging between here. So if this continues up and then goes back down, you're going to have a nice little trade there. Yeah. I've never traded Keurig. That's interesting. INTC. Again, I want to see some weekly, we did Intel, didn't we? Yeah, we need some weekly there. We did KDP. All right, I think I got everything on that list. So Rudy, I put the link in there. Let me know if you don't see it. Okay. Yep, Jim, same thing. The link's in there for that data mining. Yeah, the Q4 is the best for the data mining without question, and Q1 are my favorites for bulls. And we got some phenomenal bears. And my data mining has greater than 20-day moves and less than 20-day moves, depending on your style. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so what I promised last time is talk a little bit about day trading. So, for a lot of you, it's not something you're interested in. That's fine. The markets can be pretty good at times. for a lot of that. We'll look at Apple too, Bob. Yep. And so, yes, I use pretty much a lot of the same system with my day trading. And so we'll start going over this for a few minutes each time I present as well. What we show here is very interesting today. So you see this blue line. Okay. That's where the market, and I just put the Dow up here for right now. This is where the Dow opened up at 9:30, okay? The blue line. Now you see this red dotted line? This is the gap from the previous close the night before. Gaps are touched about 80% of the time. Think about that, 8 out of 10 times. So look what happened just a few minutes ago. It filled this gap today. And why can that be significant? For a couple of reasons. One, if you're looking for a gap play, you had a nice gap play today. But two, this is always interesting. Once it hits that, is that now going to be support or resistance, right? So at this point, it's starting to turn back around. And, so is that high? And by the way, what it hit here, see this yellow line is just my weekly high low. I like to know the weekly high and low because that can be, again, support and resistance. And so let me just scrunch this up for you. No, it's not letting me. Oh, there we go. See, this is the low for the week. Okay. And so I don't put a lot of things on my screen, just things that matter. Okay. And high and lows for the week can matter. And the gap. I love the gap. Okay. Other than that, what I love to do, folks, is when I'm day trading. So, let's just kind of go through it. We had a Laguerre trigger right here at around 11 o'clock. Okay, right here. This is a 5-minute chart. You can use any time frame you like. If you like smaller time frames, you can use smaller time frame. And then I stay into the trade till I get a red dot. Okay, right here. Nice win there. Get right back in then. Run this up, and then you can see the exit is just right now. See that? So all this move was a good move. Okay. But again, doesn't mean every trade is going to be like that, obviously, but just like swing trading with day trading, here's the key. Look for small losses. You'll get some small wins. And then you'll get some of these bigger wins. And that's, what builds the account. Okay. Just like this nice short play today. Okay. Those of you that are up for the European session, it can have some phenomenal opportunities and the European session over here as well. But it's interesting today. It filled the gap here, and we'll see what happens at that point. My guess is we'll come down a little bit, maybe test the bottom of this cloud, and then we'll finally break through. But this could end up being a high, filling that gap. Could have been the high for the day. We'll see what happens here in the next, next couple hours. Okay. So, yeah, let's take a look. You want to look at gold? Let's take a look. And yeah, you can do this with stocks or future. It doesn't matter. Forex. Okay. So gold today is kind of back and forth. We had a long trigger on the Laguerre at 1035, and that was a small loss. And then when you start getting these Christmas colors, right, that's going to be a lot of break even, small loss, no big wins today. Although you are in the trade, if you're in the trade right now, could this be the breakout move we're waiting for, right? Where it went from red, yellow back to green, that's an entry. Okay. Now, the London session was fantastic. Short play on gold. You can see that right here at 3 o'clock. Then you had another short play at 5 o'clock. Okay, and then you had a long play at 6:25. So it's just this afternoon is very normal around lunchtime to consolidate on gold, right? Take a look at crude oil. Then I'll look at some stocks too. Yep. So crude had a nice trigger at 10:30 here. Okay. Nice trigger at 10:30. Crude's been very, very volatile. So for you new traders, I would stay away from gold for now. There's also the bonds. like the ZN, for example, nice short plays today on bonds. If you're looking at something like Apple, so we had a trigger on Apple at 10:55. Okay, for a small win, then a re-enter here at noon, and then you exit at 12:35. Then you can re-enter again. And again, some of you may say, well, why do you even get out then? Right? It's always easy after the fact to say you should have ignored this. Right? But remember, my goal with the way I've set up my trading system is small losses to break evens, right? You'll get some small wins. Okay, but then you'll get some of these really nice trendy moves, and that's what builds your account up. I mean, I've been in trades on a 5-minute chart all morning based on the rules. Some days are better than others, obviously. Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's a great one nowadays with the split, right? So again, Amazon had a nice short at 10. Okay, that's a nice little trade. Then it turned back around to the long side. The last enter was at 12:45, and you would still be in that. Okay, but you can also go just in the direction of the overall trend as well. Wait for it to change colors before you do that. So we'll go over that more and more, just for those of you that like to day trade. But I'll even start holding some live sessions so you can see it in action, as well. But today it's been. So we can look at the SPY. Today's been a fairly slow day overall. The SPY had a nice trigger here in the direction of it. So it went from yellow to green right here. Okay, and then you're out right here. So that's a nice little win there. Nice little short again at 10. Okay. Yeah, so that's the day trading, but what's important is when you're trading the indexes, the gap, knowing which way the gap is, it fills it a lot of the times, and then knowing the highs and lows for the week can be really good as well. Okay. Yeah, those of you that use NinjaTrader, this is still under development. Same thing. So this is just with Ninja. You can see here on gold, again, just showing you that gold trade on the European session. Beautiful short, beautiful short, beautiful short. All right, what questions do you have, folks? I got a few minutes. I'm in no rush today. So what questions do you have? Swing day. I'll answer anything you need. Or is it clear as mud? Yeah, that data mining packet I'll put back in the chat so it's fresh for you. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so the MPC, let's take a look at MPC. So we've had the green weekly. So I mean, if you took it, yeah, you would stay in the trade at this point. If you're just looking at the chart now and you haven't been in the trade, there's two ways to enter short term. One, wait for a red dot, then turn back to yellow green. Or you can always go to the 4-hour, which is more aggressive by nature. Okay, you can look at that 4-hour chart, and when you get another entry on the 4-hour, same rules, but on the 4-hour, you can do that as well. Okay. A lot of people will use seasonal moves then use a 4-hour chart as their entries for one main reason. Do you know why? Yeah, because there's less risk. If you follow the same rules, you're still following seasonal pattern, right? But then if you enter and you have less risk because you're doing off a 4-hour, right? Some people are more comfortable with that. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, Marathon's been around a long time. It's got one of my data mining's got Marathon in there with over 40 some years of data during a certain time frame. That's incredible. Yeah. So there are absolutely some phenomenal seasonal plays. Yeah, you bet. Brian, so divergence on well charts. I talked to Rob on, I have to talk to Rob on that. You know, he's pretty receptive to things like that though. Yeah. Yep. So Bob, the problem with TradeStation right now is they've gotten rid of the App Store. Said, you know what, we're not going to handle the App Store anymore. And so they put a lot of us folks that have things with TradeStation in a pickle. And so at this point, no, I mean, I'm using Ninja. I'm kind of converting over to Ninja. I love Ninja 2 and Ninja Trader as well, you know, Ninja 8. So probably not at this point developing anything else for TradeStation. Okay. Moto, yes, I do. Go ahead and email me at Dr. Keith at Seasonal Trader. I'll put that in the chat again. Dr. Keith at seasonaltraderpro.com. And I'll send you information on that. But that's Moto, that's my number one. You know, what you're asking for. I have it for trades, or I'm sorry, for Thinkorswim. Okay. All right, so if you use the 4 hour to enter, you also use it to exit right. Okay, so yeah, so let's say you were going to enter on a 4 hour chart here. Typically what I do, and I don't enter as many on 4 hour just because I like the daily, but if I do, so let's say you entered here, back here, okay? Then in this case, I like to exit on the 4 hour as well. The only asterisk would be this, to complicate things a little bit. If it makes your move right away and you're up significantly, right, you can eliminate risk, then you can go back to the daily to try to hang on to it longer. Does that make sense? But until you hit your initial profit target of what you're looking for, or you're waiting for a red dot to get out a part of your trade maybe, then I would keep the 4 hour as your management tool. Yep, absolutely. Okay. Okay. You bet. All right, so what I'm going to do in a couple weeks is, again, I'll give you an update. And those of you, by the way, those of you that don't have, let me find it here, Telegram. If you're not subscribed to my free Telegram, the STP Lounge, please make sure you do, because it will give you reminders and so forth, and then you don't have to worry about anything going to spam. Like this recording will be sent there as well. Okay, so let me see if I can find the link here and put it in here in case you're not. It's very easy. It's just an app on your phone or your computer. Thanks, Bill. I just got to find it now. I should have did this ahead of time. Bear with me. Let me find it. I'm still learning the app. If not, I'll put it in the, I think I know how though. Let's see. In the recording, I'll put it in there as well, so you have it, but let's see if I can find it. It's gotta be easy. Oh, do you have it? Thanks, Bill. Bill put it in there. So yeah, it's a free app, right? And then you can get in there and, you know, I have upcoming events or something I'm looking at, you know, it's just great. It's definitely going to replace texting and that in the future, because it's just a much better tool. Yeah. Thanks, Bill, for that. And I need to figure out where I can find the link so I can send it out, you know? Oh, here it is, invite via link. So yeah, it should be the same one that Bill put in there. And I'll put this one in there as well. It's a little bit shorter. It's called the STP Lounge. Okay. All right, folks, we'll have a great rest of the week. Keep an eye on that sentiment. Keep an eye on, you know, that bullish activity. If the retailers now continue to add to their shorts, we know the market's going to keep going higher, folks. So, all right, take care, everyone. I'll see you. Bye now.